This is the one I opened it to, so this is the one I'm going to read. But I got a haiku for you first. I like haikus because you can just think them up on the spot. Haiku doesn't have a title. My hoodie sweatshirt. Wait, I forgot it already. There we go. My hoodie sweatshirt isn't a symbol for shit. It's just a sweatshirt. I went to Chiapas, Mexico. Anybody ever been to Chiapas, Mexico? Went a couple of times. It's in the far south of Mexico, right just north of the Guatemalan border. For the last 18 years, there has been an indigenous war against neoliberalism, against Mexican corruption. The Zapatistas are the indigenous rebel forces down there, and went to learn more about what was going on with their movement and to dialogue with them and bring that information back. And I was really struck when I was in these communities, these really poor communities, by the children there and their resilience, and it gave birth to this poem called I Remember the Children. I remember the mountains, like the knuckles of Coatlicue's cragged hand, carving out a cup into which the coleros had poured this cobblestone colonial city of kings. A city they christened San Cristobal de las Casas, where stray dogs and strayer men roam the streets, chasing hunger, hangovers, and ghosts. And the sky above, an inverted bowl of blue, rich and brilliant directly overhead, and fading in the corners, shades of blue, the colors of the eyes of tourists and other invaders, the color of the privilege to leave this place, to dissipate, depart, come rain or rebellion. And I remembered the mountains which grow in monstrous proportions to protect the children from falling out, how they slow the erosion of the earth and its human inhabitants, preventing the weakening of the fast hold of roots of all things indigenous to the land. I remember the churches trying to outdo the mountains in their upward mobility, all domes and steeples, so much pageantry and product, as if God demanded vast quantities of ornate but empty space. I remember the insurgents, long fabled and romanticized as the reincarnation of this country's greatest middle finger figure. One might almost expect to see them riding proud white horses, armed to the teeth in bandoleras, all pistols and blades. Instead, in the fog-diluted light of dawn, their silhouetted figures weary, short, slight, no louder than the whispers on their lips, where they store and brandish their most dangerous weapons, hidden behind tattered red bandanas or muddy black masks. I remember the soldiers, their skin cut from the same red-brown cloth as the insurgents, their eyes hammered out of the same steel, but the drab green and gunmetal of clothing and weapon is the traditional garb of occupation and empire, reading Made in the USA. And I remember the children, Jeronimo and Acteal, who carries the tattoo of a spearhead disguised as a gash in his ribs, that took also half the muscle in his arm, all the fingers of his hand, and his mother's life, but missed piercing his spirit by only the width of a miracle. Ausencio in Polo, who lives in an internally displaced refugee on the lip of a garbage dump, halfway up the hill to where the army sets up camp. His home constructed of plastic wrap and cardboard appliance boxes, the soldiers making good use of their former occupants. I remember the young girls who have seen outsiders come and take everything, loved ones, laughter, childhood, home. These girls who travel in wary packs and never give their names, because it is the only thing they have left. I remember the children who wake up each war-torn morning hungry. There's mothers and fathers wearily whispering their wars, holding on to their roots, all for the sake of their children, so that their lives won't fade into the remote but empty corners of humanity. And I remember these children of Chiapas, as old as the mountains and so much larger.